Sports Close-Up. Mike Fiorillo. Jim Berg is on assignment, and today's show is Meadville Baseball. I'm here with the two coaches, the brain thrust of the Bulldogs, head coach Bruce Stewart. Bruce, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And assistant coach Dana Scheppelmann. Did I get that right?
Yep.
All right. Good. Well, first of all, as everybody knows, as this show airs, we're still in the middle of winter, even so it's April 17th as we tape this. So first, guys, tell us, how do you prepare your team in, as everybody knows around here, the crummy spring weather this year? Coach?
Yeah, this year's been a little bit different. We didn't go south this year, but we try to do as much as we can. In here, the players have had a much greater input this season than in past seasons. So we've tried to mix it up because obviously, when you're inside all the time, people want to get outside. It gets a little repetitive, but we've done a great job of, at least pitching inside and trying to see as much live as we can, not being able to use the field at all. But our pitching's come out of the gate hot, so I think that's kind of, held our own till we can get outside to use the field to practice and at least, face some other live pitching game action, hopefully not in the snow in the near future. So.
Dana, you're the assistant coach here with the Bulldogs. Tell us what your job is as the assistant coach and how you and Coach Stewart here divide up the activities.
Well, that's about it. Some days he can make it, some days I can't. Some days I'm working on the field, some days he's not. So kind of share the duties. There's practices that obviously when Bruce isn't here, we're running the practice inside. I do a lot of the outside stuff with the kids. We do a lot of team bonding stuff. Paintball. We play paintball a lot. Bowling. Get in on the fundraisers and stuff like that. But we do a pretty good job of sharing the duties.
How long have you been part of the staff here?
I came on when Bruce came on. It's 7 years, six or 7 years now. We come on together.
Yeah.
Bruce, tell us and tell the audience some of your background, where you went to high school and so forth, when you started playing ball.
Started playing when I was obviously probably like 2, 3 on up. My dad pitching, but I grew up in Meadville. Played all the way through high school here at Meadville. Actually graduated in '92, the year Todd Erdos played with Todd all the way up through. So, we had our share of wins as we played, and a share of being in front of scouts, whatever, as they were following Todd around. So
Todd's got that World Series ring from the Yankees.
It is, yeah. He does. So we're always proud of how far he made it. And then we got to play with him.
Who was your coach back then?
Ken Scott.
Okay.
Ken Scott was our high school coach, and I went to Marietta for a year, and then transferred to Lock Haven. Changed majors, played there for a year. And then my arm kind of gave out at that point, so I at that point came back here, started doing some other stuff, did some tool and die and that, but then started coaching JV for Ken, and then just kind of built from there, and the opportunity opened up. I think it was about 6 years ago now, and timing was right. My son was, at that point 11 or 12 years old, but it gave me some extra time to kind of join in with it, and got the job and been working hard at it ever since. So.
Well, let's go over this question. And you were a player here for the Bulldogs. You played under Coach Scott. Now you're the head coach. When you first got the job, is it like, now I know why Coach Scott was doing things the way he does? Because when you're a kid and a player, then when you're the head man and you're more mature as an adult, you look at things differently? Yeah,
I did it. At the time when you're playing for somebody, you wonder, why this decision get made, et cetera. But, there's definitely, I spend a lot of time doing, administrative stuff now. And, especially for him and I, now all the coaches have to do continuing education. And,
right.
So there's, a lot more stuff outside of just, it's not like we just show up and, put our hour and a half in and go home. I try to do as much background work on, the teams beforehand. I know Dana does as well, before we're going to play games. But yeah, it's definitely, a lot different running a program than just, showing up and get your hour and a half in a practice as you're a kid and then go home. There's a lot more, there's a lot more to it. So yeah, it's definitely, I definitely understand now, some of the stuff that was going on that, we were shielded from, I guess, as players, back then. So.
Dan, let's get a little bit of background from you. Where'd you go to school? What, did you play ball at school and so forth?
Yeah, I actually went to Linesville back in the old FCVC
Okay.
days.
And who coached back then when you were there?
I had Lane Baker.
Yeah, he was a great pitcher back in his day.
Yeah.
Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah, he was my coach, and then my senior year was John Logan, and the assistant actually was Steve Mickle, who's over with Todd Greenwald coaching Cash right now.
Okay.
I did not play in college. I come back, played some double A county league stuff, and then went to down to Fifth Ward and started my softball career.
Many of us played softball down there. How did you get hooked onto this? Did Bruce give you a call when he was looking at the head job and say, I'm thinking about this, you want to come on and help out?
Actually, it was kind of funny because when I heard the position was coming up also, I know Joe Harushka, who was the previous coach.
Exactly.
And I started hearing, some
Who took over
some
for Greg
rumors.
Williams, Coach Joe when they were in Cash, kind of by that time,
and I heard the position was coming up, and I was talking to my wife about it, and I was interested in it, and then I heard Bruce, was interested in it, so got a hold of him, and he wanted to be a head coach. I said, all right. I said, you can be the boss, and I'll man first base. So it worked out well. I've known him for years and years. We played Legion ball against each other. Back in the day, Little League All Stars. I mean, both being from the area, it made a pretty easy decision to join his team.
And that's a great thing when two guys can get along so well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because sometimes your assistant and a head coach could butt heads, and when the kids know that, things don't go well.
Right.
I just want to give a shout out to Greg Williams' son, Ted Williams, who's a senior this year at Millersville, and he's having another great year. And he's been looked at. There's about 6 or 7 teams looking at him. The Red Sox, the Mets, a couple other teams are looking at him, and he could be getting drafted this year. Maybe not in the high rounds, but somewhere. But he's had a phenomenal 4 years at Millersville. Right now, though, he pulled a hamstring, and he's trying to get back into the lineup. And he's a little concerned about it, but give a shout out to him. All right, so most springs, when it's not this big, you guys have played a lot of games, and you probably like playing your preseason schedule because you have some indication what you want to do when the region opens up.
Right.
You're not going to have really that benefit this year. Does that concern you?
I mean, it did a little. We did open up. We played 2.5 games so far, I guess, if you want to call it that. But we opened up against Grove City, which was a region game, so we tried to get, Girard, we tried to play Warren half a dozen times and couldn't get it, because of the weather. I was a little concerned, but not as much maybe as in years past, because we have 9 seniors, so I've relied on them early as we came outside. I was a little less worried. If we'd had a team full of freshmen and sophomores, I probably would have been a lot more concerned than we are now. But the 9 seniors we have, they've been with us. They know what we're looking for, what we want. So I've leaned on them, heavily in these first couple games when we went outside against Grove City and Oil City. And then Friday when we played Reynolds, because that was a non-conference game, I made some changes and got some other guys in, but I was using that almost like a scrimmage because we haven't had a chance to get outside, so we tried to take advantage of that. So.
Well, I know you had a lot of seniors. I didn't realize you had 9, but I'm hearing a lot. There's a buzz in the community this year. There's a lot of expectations for this team this year. Is that correct, Dan? Would you say that? I mean, a lot of people in town think this team has a good chance to win the region and go on beyond that.
I mean, the team obviously looks great on paper, but you got to play the games. But we've been excited for a long time. Like Bruce said, with the nine seniors, we coached these guys up through Little League. I mean, I had these guys on my Little League All-Star team. Bruce coached, up through Junior League, Senior League. We have a lot of experience, a lot of big game experience on the team with these guys. I think they've been to States Junior League, 2 years Junior League, and 2 years Senior League. I think this group went to States. But, we're excited. We're a very, very deep team this year. We have a lot of pitching. Which is
very important, especially when you're going to start playing almost every day.
We got 4 games next week. I think we have 4 games on the schedule next week, so the arms are going to help out. So.
Let me ask you about that. In the major leagues, they have pitch counts. What do you guys do at the high school level? You guys have your kids on a pitch count, especially now that maybe the weather's going to get to about 50 or 60 and you haven't pitched in games, are you going to be careful on your pitches early, or how do you guys do that? Bruce, how do you guys do that?
Well, our pitching coach, Justin Ferguson,
Okay.
He does a great job in the winter. We start throwing in December, like the pitchers start throwing in December. So we're done with fall ball, whatever, called first weekend of October. They get essentially 2 months off, and then the pitchers and catchers start working in December. So he builds them up. So, I mean, they were already, when we started against Grove City, at 90 plus pitches. So we were in pretty good shape going outside, that they were already, built up. Before, we would watch a pitch count. You can tell when somebody's getting tired, but with the new rules they put in, it's almost like Little League All-Stars, because now you got...
For high school, there's new rules. Why don't you go over them?
Yeah, so it used to be before you could just throw as many pitches
Right.
you want. So now there's like 100 pitch limit, but it's in stages. So 0 to 25 pitches, you don't need any days rest as long as you stay under that. The 26 to 50 range, you need 1 day off. Up to 75, 51, 75, you get 2 days off, and then if you get to that 100 pitch mark, it's 3 days off. So
is that carryover when you guys get into the playoffs too?
yes.
So is this maybe a rule also, a team can't use one pitcher at
Right.
every playoff game if they have one stud?
Yeah,
Right,
You're
right.
gonna need 2 or 3 solid pitchers to get, especially once you get to the playoffs. Now that almost all the teams make the playoffs,
Right.
The
It's an
games
open
are,
playoff.
boom, boom,
Sure.
boom, boom. There's no time, unless you earn a bye. Obviously, if you earn a bye, you're not playing as many games. But the teams that don't earn a bye, you better have at least 3 solid arms.
What do you guys, you brought up a good point. What do you guys think about that? It's in every sport now. The PIAA went to open playoffs. Fan, not a fan. I know some districts, Cash, their AD and coaches have decided, we're not 500, we're not going.
Right.
This year might be 2-2, could be 500. But
Right.
what do you guys think about open playoffs?
I like that they put more teams in. Yeah, I don't know about completely open, because some of the times the teams are, that were at the bottom where they have 2 wins. I mean, they can opt out, so it's not
Right.
like,
They
they're
can
forcing
opt
them,
out.
right. That
But if they're playing you and you have 2 losses, they have 2 wins, the pressure's on you.
Right,
They're playing
right.
with house money.
Exactly, and then, and with that, if they decide to play, like, I guess an example would have been last year, Sharon finished last in our region, only had 2 region wins, but they played, say, Harbor Creek or, whoever
Right.
finished 1 in that, so they're making them play a game because
Yeah.
they decide to opt in.
Right.
So now do you gamble that they get hot for 1 day and you throw your second tier pitcher and they beat you? Well then,
Sure.
so now you gotta make a decision there whether you're gonna roll with your ace and hope,
Yeah,
you
because
jump
anything's
early.
possible in one game.
Oh yeah, you never
Could be
know.
an error, could be a
Oh,
missed
yeah.
call by an ump.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. It could be any number of things. So, I think it's probably a little bit much, but I do like that they were including more because there was a couple years ago before this went in where we had kind of a, we were like a middle of the road team called, maybe like a 4 or 5 seed, but we were young, like the younger, some of these guys that you're going to talk to later,
Right.
were younger. But I wanted them to get that playoff experience
Right.
because, when we did make this
Sure.
run and hopefully get to this year that we are now, hopefully we can go deep in the playoffs. But I want them to have that experience under their belt instead of all of a sudden, showing up, you have that
Right.
year, you show up, but you've never been in the playoffs and everybody's got that deer in the headlights look, and we were trying to hopefully stay away from that, so.
I think one of the things that, you guys talked about, and Dana, you brought this up, was when they were young, they were on the big stage too. I mean, they played a lot of games, so that their confidence and not being afraid to be aggressive is probably going to benefit, you guys. And you had a lot of them for a long time when they were little, and now through up the high school ranks. What do you expect? What's your expectations this year, coaches?
I mean,
Goal
I
to
think
win the
every
region?
oh yeah, obviously I think our goal is to win the region, and I mean hopefully, we'll make that run to win districts. I mean, we've got the ability to do it.
Last time
so.
Meadville basically won a district 10 championship. Anybody remember? It's been a while, right?
Yeah, I think probably early 2000s. I
Yeah.
want to say maybe that team, maybe Greg might have been coaching.
Yeah, I think-
or either him or Joe, right at that
I think
transition.
when they had Ted Panino and those guys, right?
Yeah,
David Moyer.
Moyer,
Yeah,
right.
Moyer.
Right.
That would have been the last time. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been quite a few years since they've had one. So
It'd be nice to have one this year then.
absolutely, absolutely. So.
Tell us about your region. Who's in your region? You said Grove City. Who else is in the region?
We have Grove City, Oil City, Slippery Rock, Hickory, Sharon, and obviously Cash.
Franklin's not in our
No,
region. Okay.
no.
Back in
No,
the old
it's-
days when you played, it was great because you played them in every sport.
Exactly.
And, you built up competitions.
Yeah.
Meadville is to me, I've talked to a lot of some people, and they said Meadville's the favorite this year, not to put any pressure on you guys. Who else is you guys concerned about in your region? I know every team is important, but who else is coming back from out of town?
I mean, Slippery Rock's always one that has, you know, I mean, they have two really good pitchers. You know, they graduated one last year, but still, I mean, they had three, so they still got two back. You know, their JV team was pretty decent, so I haven't seen, you know, a couple of the younger guys other than that, but they seem to be playing well. You know, they have very good coaching, so you know, Grove City had pretty much all seniors, you know, this year. You know, Oil City was almost all seniors this year. You know, Hickory brought, I think, pretty much everybody back except they graduated their main pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And Sharon's been off to a hot start. You know, last year they only had 2 wins, but they're, I think, 2-1 in the region right now.
Well.
And you know,
Gaining confidence.
yeah, and you know, they beat Hickory, took Slippery Rock to extra innings. You know, so you know, so anybody on any given day, you know, can definitely beat one of the others.
You know, even people say, you know, this might be a down year, but Todd and Mickle, every single year they put out a competitive team, and so it's not, you know, they're no pushover by any means whatsoever. Those guys, they show up every year and they compete. So
I remember way back, I helped coach baseball here a little bit. I was assistant coach with Kenny for a few years, and when I played baseball too, it was a big emphasis on pitching and defense. You guys have to have pitching, or you're not going to win.
Right.
Let's be honest. So how much has the game changed at all? Is there still a lot of pitching, and you got to play good defense?
Yeah, I think you know, at this level, you know, if you can pitch and play good defense, that'll keep you, you know, in almost every game. And then, you know, even if you don't have a stellar offensive team, you know, hopefully you get enough timely hits, you know. But if you can pitch and play defense, that'll keep you in it, you know, most of the time. So
let's go from behind a plate, because I always felt if you don't have a real good catcher, you're not going anywhere either. I mean, not just catching the ball, but can throw and work with the pitchers and calm people down. Who's your catcher this year?
Nick France. He's been our catcher. Because, you know, he's a junior this year. This is his 3rd year.
Nice.
You know, he's got he does fantastic behind the plate. You know, he moves well, has a cannon for an arm.
That's important.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, the last couple of years, really, I think he's gotten the raw end of the deal when we go vote for the region players. You know, I understand the first year I don't think they wanted to vote him in because he was a freshman and there were some senior catchers, even though I think behind the plate he was much better defensively than what they were, but he didn't get the call. And then last year I really thought he got overlooked, you know, on that one because he was by far, I think, the best catcher in our region. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I don't think it's close. You know, yeah, I mean, he threw out, you know, 9 of 12 runners, and we go to these meetings and they're like, hey, you know, my kid threw out 12 out of 60. I'm like, well, there's a reason we had 60 attempts, you know,
right.
you know,
Exactly.
and there's a reason they only had 12 against Nick because they just won't run. When somebody gets on base, he's just there.
That's got to be a comfort for your pitching staff, knowing that
Yeah,
it can be.
yeah.
I mean, they got to work to keep them close too, but still.
yeah,
Tell us about some of your pitchers this year who are you guys are relying on.
we're very, very deep in pitching this year, in my opinion.
Give us some of the names.
Neugebauer is definitely our number one. You're going to be talking to him here shortly.
All right.
Maybe, you know, Bruce probably give you a little better idea of this, but probably one of the top pitchers that come out of Meadville, in my opinion. I mean,
Great.
he's got, you know, he's got good stuff. His ball's moving, and he pitched really well.
Anybody looking at him college-wise or anything?
Yeah, he has some looks. We have a few guys on the team that
It's hard when
They
they're
have
up
some
here.
looks.
You know, the weather makes it so tough.
yeah, and that's the thing. You know, these guys come in, the pitchers, like Bruce said, come in with Justin. Justin's outstanding with these guys. Yeah, we have Chad. We have Nick Ranella. He's throwing well so far this spring. We've gotten him into a few games. He looked really good so far. We have obviously France. Got a good arm behind the plate. He's got a good arm on the mound too. Zach Wilson, Alex Knox, Tony Cappellino. You're going to be talking to him here shortly. All of those guys. I mean, on any day, you know, we're confident we can put any of them out on the mound, and we're confident they'll do the job.
DH high school ball.
Yes.
Do you guys use it? Do you guys use the DH? Or the
Yeah,
bench?
I use it on occasion. Maybe not every game, but I do use it. Use it on occasion and sometimes it's, if there's a pitcher on the mound, that maybe that's all he does is pitch right now. So then we'll use the DH for him. Sometimes I'll use it if a guy's struggling, but defensively, I really don't want him out of there because it creates maybe creates another hole. I'll leave him in defensively, and hopefully between batting practice, when we're actually able to get outside, we can get him going again, and then it's not like it's a permanent thing, but yeah, I'll use it definitely to get some of our bench guys in, as Dana mentioned earlier. I mean, our bench is pretty deep, and we have a lot of speed on the bench, as well, as long as in the starting lineup. I think we led to, like, both regions, our, what you want to call it, 4A. Last year we had, I want to say, 52 steals out of 56 attempts, and we only graduated like 6 steals, so we got everybody else back, so that's one of our main strengths.
You have a lot of greyhounds on your team. You guys like the running game, obviously. Then. When you're coaching, is it a gut thing? Do you have a certain, like, you go like 3-1, 2-1 all the time, or do you maybe just go first pitch when you're stealing? Depending on who you're playing and watch as the game is unfolding, what you want to do, put pressure on the other team?
Yeah. I mean, I try to read the situations. Sometimes, knowing maybe some of the older pitchers, that I've seen over a couple of years, sometimes they'll get in some tendencies, and I'll call it guess right on when they're throwing breaking balls, but I try to pay attention to that stuff. Sometimes you run maybe in an awkward count they're not expecting, but I try to do some different stuff maybe to mix it up as we go. But I try to be aggressive as much as we can without, running ourselves out of innings, Sometimes you get a couple guys on. You don't want to be overly aggressive if a Franz or a Mook's at the plate because you don't want to take the bat out of their hands depending on how many outs you got as well. So
The kid gets on first base. Obviously, you guys have trained him to look right down the third and pick up the signs. Do you have any secret word, like if you think a kid's not getting the sign and Bruce is getting the sign one time, the kid missed it, to make sure, hey, don't miss it the next time?
Actually, it's really, really funny that you asked that question. We had a serious issue last year with missing signs. So we actually went to a wristband now, where Bruce
so
is
like
on
they
third.
do in football.
Yeah, similar to that. Bruce will yell out the number over third base, and it's real simple. They look down, and boom, they have the sign. There was occasions last year where a guy would come back and they didn't quite see the sign, or they put their head down for a split second and look back up, and he's halfway through his sequence. He'll look at me, and you obviously have the first baseman holding him on. He looks at me and goes, "Did he give me the steal sign?" That's So yeah, we went to the wristbands this year, and so far so good. We had one missed sign, I think, out of the 3 games we've been involved with.
And that's another thing. The weather's hindered you guys practicing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
People don't realize you got to practice all this stuff. Sometimes fans or parents go to the game and they think just play baseball, but there's so much. As coaches have to take into consideration during the course of the game and make sure the kids are paying attention and so forth. Why, in your mind, guys, both of you, is baseball the best sport there is? Because you wouldn't be giving all this time if you didn't think it was such a great sport.
Well, to me, it's the ultimate team sport. I mean, obviously, you'll have your superstars, on every team, like every other sport, but you have 9 guys. Basketball, you have 5 guys out on the floor at the same time. Now you're looking at 9 guys or 10 guys if you're using a DH. They all have to work together. They have to be good teammates, and that's what's good about this year is these guys all like each other for the most part.
That's important.
There's a lot of cohesion.
Yeah.
Amongst these guys. They mess around with each other. They mess around with us.
Yeah.
We have a good time. We try to have a good time. And but yeah, I mean, I grew up, I loved baseball, followed baseball coming up through, pros and the whole 9 yards. I do fantasy baseball still, and to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. Then I told you I went to softball just to stay in the game. But yeah, I mean, it's been a part of me since before I can remember, really.
Yeah, I guess for me it's always been, it's always been, like a love relationship. I was lucky enough to be good at it, when I was younger, to have the hand-eye coordination to do it. And sometimes, it's a struggle, for some kids when they're younger coming up, and that's kind of our struggle now, keeping kids in the game is, everybody's attention span's a lot shorter. So if they struggle, they just go play soccer or go play lacrosse now.
Right.
So keeping, people with that. But, I just love the challenge, like they always say, you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times, but in the major leagues, that makes you a Hall of Famer,
Right.
So, so for me, it was always the challenge, of getting up there and facing the pitcher, and having success. And, I was lucky enough when I was younger to be, fast and be able to hit for power, so it made it nice. And then, them, pitching, as long as my arm, felt good, it was,
Right.
Erdos and I, pitched. And I think it was always, always just love the game, love the intellectual side. It's not just, people I think just thinking, when you show up, you stick a kid in right field because you don't want him to play. It's not like that. There's specific times and places, especially now at the high school level, where I'm putting outfielders up. Like Grove City has a lot of left-handed batters,
Sure.
so we're playing those, we're adjusting, so there's always adjustments going on. You're constantly thinking every pitch, changes the situation of the
Right.
game, and it's I try to work with these guys on is, if you're trying to pick somebody off and you throw the ball away, you just changed all our pitch call
Yep.
sequence, you
Right.
changed all this stuff.
Right.
Defensively, what we're going to do, I just love the game and, the thought and intellectual part, of doing it all the time.
It's a thinking man's game. Somebody once said it's a great game because there's no clock.
That's right.
You have 9 innings or 7 innings here?
7 innings.
So you got to get 21 outs. I mean, it could take 6 hours, it could take 2 hours, but you got to get them.
The other night we got 7 outs, and it took about 4 hours.
Yeah, that was a long game in
That
Oil
was a
City in
long
the
game,
snow
in
and
the
sleet.
rain.
And, yeah, it was 3, got to the top of the
If
third.
I
and it's
remember
bad.
it too, it's always cold down there.
Oh, yeah.
The wind's always blowing
Yeah.
out.
It is,
It
yeah. I
was a
think
little chilly.
Yeah, the flag was blowing straight in. It's about 30 miles an hour. It was straight as could be.
And it's interesting too, you always tell your kids when it's cold like that, get ready to swing, 'cause those umpires are got a big strike zone. You want to get out of there, man.
Yeah, right from the get-go. They preempted that. I think Tony and Andrew can confirm that. As soon as we got to the plate to do the meeting at the beginning, the guy's like, let's keep it moving. The faster we get in the car, the warmer we'll be, So, so they were definitely thinking that ahead of time. But, yeah, it's not been good so far, so.
Well, guys, we want to thank you for giving us a few minutes. We're going to talk to some of your players. I want to encourage the community to come out and support the Bulldogs this year. What's your website if they want to check out your schedule?
There's actually 2 places you can see it. The MeadvilleAthletics.org. That's the one John Fry
Right.
posts for the school. I believe when you get on there, it's chosen by, like spring, summer, fall. So if you just choose spring, choose baseball, and then our schedule will be there. And he updates that every time there's a change, whether it's a cancellation, reschedule, etc. And then maxpreps.com. Our schedule's also out there. If you just go on, there's a search box at the top. You can just type in Meadville. It'll give you a list. I think there's a Meadville, Missouri. So obviously there's a couple
Yeah,
different
there is
Meadvilles.
a
two
Meadville,
Meadvilles.
Missouri.
Yeah, so-
I found it out when I was trying to get stats for baseball one day.
Yeah,
so-
we're not playing in southern Kentucky next
That's
week.
right, yeah. So, but yeah, you can look it up on there, and I update that one as we go. So every time we know there's changes. John's doing one, I'm doing the other, and they're both up to date all the time. So.
Well, again, Coach, thanks for a few minutes. I'll tell you what, too, if you guys win District 10, maybe we'll do another show at the Big Trophy because it's been a while since Meadville's captured the District 10 championship.
That'd be nice.
Great. That'd be
Okay.
great.
We'll be back with some of the players on the Meadville baseball team. Back with 3 seniors of the Meadville baseball team this year. Andrew Mook, Chad Niederbauer, okay, and Tony Cappellino. Guys, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about it. We talked to your coaches, and they said the senior leadership, and there's 9 of you guys this year, has a lot of input this year. What kind of input do you guys have so far this year?
It's a really open relationship to have with the coaches, especially for me and Tony as the captains, and Chad's in on pretty much anything that goes on pitching-wise. And we have meetings with Coach Stewart and Coach Scheppelmann all the time. And at the beginning of the seasons, the seniors, all 9 of us got to get together, and we wrote down some points we wanted to make for this season, and ways we want to practice, ways we've seen online, and at college camps we went to over the summer. And, just suggestions that we might want to see. And they were really open to it, and I was really glad to see that, and it was great to have.
So that let you guys buy in. Right, they let you guys buy into the program
Yeah,
more,
yeah, for sure.
which is a
Definitely.
great thing because I'm a firm believer when that happens, then you guys really want to excel and really want to do well because you guys have a stake in it also. Tony, let's talk about you. What kind of drills did you tell the coaches you wanted to do this year?
It just kind of depends on different things, but we there's definitely a bunch of different things we can go on. Like we're pretty strong on some flat glove drills this year, working on the hands and doing a lot more picks. But essentially, kind of our main takeaway was we just want to keep everybody moving
No
when
standing
everything's
around.
going on. So
Sort of like have stations?
yeah, do different stations along the way during practice, and obviously when we get outside for once, it'll be a little different of a practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so inside we're just trying to do what we can and see what we can fit into the barn, definitely.
Chad, being one of the top line pitchers of this year's team, number one, you guys started working a while back throwing, obviously. Do you guys do any long tosses too, or what do you guys do to build your arm up?
Whenever we can, yeah. We haven't been able to play that much, but sometimes we'll throw into like these nets are pretty high. We can throw into them, but we can really hardly ever play long toss with it being
Sure.
always horrible outside.
What do you work on as a pitcher, and what's your favorite pitch? You like the fastball? Because I've always said that if you can control your fastball, that is the best pitch to have.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I
you know,
like,
Bartolo Colon is, 47 years old, almost pitched a perfect game the other night, which
Yeah.
is crazy, but go ahead.
I like working on everything because, of course, you're good at one thing and you might get crushed in something else. You can't just keep relying on the same thing. But yeah, of course, fastball control is really big and good to base all your other pitches and stuff off of.
What else do you throw?
Curveball and changeup.
You know, I don't know if you know the name Jim Cott. Jim Cott was a former major league pitcher for a long time, and then he worked TV for the Yankees for a long time. Now he's on the MLB network doing baseball. But he always said if you can throw a fastball and a changeup, you can get anybody out. Anybody. If you can change speeds.
Yeah.
And as hitters, Andrew, does that give you the most trouble when people are changing speeds on you?
Oh yeah, I mean a lot of times in at bats, people try to definitely lull you into a rhythm with fastball. If they can sneak enough by you, it's easy for them to drop the curve or the changeup and have you ground out or swing through it. But yeah, I've caught for Chad, and big thing with him is changing speeds and the movement on his pitch. He's one of the first pitchers I've seen that can put a significant amount of movement on his fastball, a lot of tail, a lot of break both ways, and his changeup is nasty. His curve has always been big, so he's got great stuff. I'm always confident when he's on the mound.
Chad, how old were you when you started pitching?
Maybe like third grade. I'm not sure.
Did you always like it? Did you want to be the guy in the middle of the diamond with the ball?
Not really. Like
Got a lot of pressure when you're young.
I just started because nobody on the team could throw strikes, and I threw strikes in practice, and in a game I certainly didn't throw strikes either. But so I just kept going with it and got a little bit better.
Did you ever hit a batter?
Do I ever hit one?
Yeah, did you ever hit a batter in the
Yeah,
box?
a couple.
Do you ever feel, what do you feel like when you hit a batter?
It was an accident.
I mean, you're not overly concerned, right?
No, of
Especially if
course
you're
not.
playing another team and it's a big game. It's like, I don't want to hit you anyway, right?
Yeah.
Bases loaded, 1 out. It's the top of the 7th for the region championship. And you're on the mound. Is your heart beating any faster, or have you learned to slow the game down and believe in what your ability is?
Yeah, of course, but at the same time, it's a big game. Like in the back of your mind that it's big like that, but at the same time, you gotta be able to execute and get the job done.
So you trust your stuff?
Yeah, I trust my defense behind me too, so it doesn't really matter if I blow it by him or if he hits it on me, they're gonna knock it down and get him out for me.
That's a great thing you just said about your defense, because a lot of young kids need to learn this, I believe. Say you're pitching and it's a real close game and one of your fielders makes an error.
Yeah.
Do you go on the mound and start sulking? How do you handle yourself?
No, I always, whenever somebody makes an error, I always looking at it, be like, hey, shake it off, like get the next one. Never really bothers me. I always try to pick them up because everybody makes mistakes, of course.
And Tony and Andrew, that must really feel good too when you have a pitcher that's, if somebody makes an error, if you make an error, it's not going to put on a big show on the mound. Like, oh my God, this crazy guy made an
Well,
error.
I mean, and everyone else knows you definitely screwed up there, but it's nice having the pitcher have your back every once in a while when you know you made a mistake there, and helps you build your confidence up for the next one.
Chad, tell us about your pitching coach. How's your pitching coach helped you? The coaches talked about him a little bit.
He's definitely helped a lot. Like, just everything he's done coming in here. When he first came in here, I didn't really know who he was, but I was like, oh, who's this guy? Like another random pitching coach. And then I ended up like opening up to him as like a couple years ago, and I was like, wow, this guy, he's helped me a lot. He's helped all of our pitchers a lot.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, of course.
He's been through the.
Yeah. I mean, not only pitching, with you
Right.
know, baseball in general, life, college, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good, and that's why sports is very important, because you're going to fail in sports, and teaches you to pick yourself up. So when something doesn't go right in life, generally, you can pick yourself up also. It's a good test. Andrew, what's it like for you? This is your senior year. You probably remember starting from Meadville, your first maybe game or bat when you 8th, 9th grade or 10th grade. More confident when you get in the box now than you were as a 9th grader? You still get some butterflies, or how's that feel for you?
Oh yeah, well, back when I was in 9th grade, Bruce actually batted me 4th the first game when we were in Titusville, and I was shocked. I mean, I had a good spring trip that year, but there was a lot of pressure, and I think I struck out 3 times that game, to be honest. But,
On that bat real tight.
yeah, and but no, and then he stayed with me the rest of the season. And eventually, I moved up to the 3rd hole, and I was always pressing, but I was getting hits still. But now I come through in big situations, or just a lead off at bat, or a bat with 2 outs and no one on it. It's the same aggressive approach. I'm looking to hit the ball hard somewhere every time. I'm
Do
looking to
you have a
execute.
plan when you go up to the plate? Like, I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm always thinking. It's always
you looking
situations.
fastball, good fastball, I'm swinging right
All
away?
the time, yeah. First pitch especially, I'm always looking
Hunt the fastball.
Oh yeah. Anytime I'm up in the count, it's got to be a fastball for me. But you know, runners on. If I'm looking to move runners from 2nd to 3rd, looking to push them in on a sac fly or something like that, or if I'm leading off the inning, maybe I'll look for walks. But other than that, that's I'm trying to put the ball in play.
Tony, what about you? You guys working on, like, when I played back in the day and we coached, we did a lot more like guys hitting line drives and hard grounders. Now you're all about launch angles. You got a launch angle swing there, Tony?
Being I was a smaller guy for quite a while until just about this year. I mean, I grew about 9 inches from freshman year, so I really embraced that kind of small ball kind of role when I was younger, and just getting on any way I can. So I still kind of carry that over today, but as I've grown stronger along the years, I'm definitely a lot more confident that I can hit one hard. And last year I saw I put a couple close to getting out in a couple different games, but definitely this year I'm hoping I can get one out before I finish off my senior season.
What do you, when you're batting and the coach says that you guys like to run, your team runs a lot, and somebody's going to steal second, does that bother you as a batter or no? Because some guys batting don't like people running because they feel like it takes away their sight of the ball a little bit.
No, it doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, sometimes if I see a really good pitch and I have to lay off it because I know that guy's going and it's not a hit and run situation, I'll get mad at myself just because I know I couldn't do anything about it. But it doesn't really bother me too much. I've just kind of gotten used to it over time.
Good thing you just mentioned, Angel. Let me ask you this: Coach gives you the hit and run sign, and the ball's way outside. Are you still trying to make contact with?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the execution, that's the play. You got to make that.
Did you ever throw your bat at the ball to get out?
I've never let it out of my hands, but I've taken some rough cuts, maybe at the dirt even, just try to foul it off, at least protect my runner.
Good bunter? You a good bunter, Tony?
Yeah, I'd say I do pretty well. I don't necessarily bunt too much, but with this team, well, I don't bunt too much for base hits, but with this team, we definitely do a lot of bunting and work on squeezes or just trying to advance runners in different situations. So, I mean, I definitely have to carry my own, and this whole team's we do a pretty good job for the most part.
Chad, you're a pitcher, and somebody squares around the bunt, and corner of your eye, you see the guy, well, you're right-hander?
Yeah.
So you see the guy breaking home, you know it's a squeeze. Where's the pitch going?
Probably up and in.
Yeah, probably up and in. You want to bail it out, right? Get out of there so the catcher can catch and put the tag on him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, you've been trained well. That's a good job. That's exactly what you're doing. So let's take it the other way, Andrew. You're the batter and pitcher, and the other team sees that your team runner coming down. You might be throwing it up and in. You hanging in there? What are you doing?
Well, no. If it's a squeeze play and it's on, I either
Suicide squeeze. We're coming.
I either gotta get a bat on it or I just gotta wear it in the helmet because I can't leave my runner hanging out there. I've been left hanging once or twice on squeeze plays, and it sucks and it feels bad that your batter couldn't get the bunt down and you're just hung out to dry, caught in a run down or tagged out by the catcher. But yeah, I wouldn't put that on my teammate now.
Tony, what position you playing this year?
I'm middle infield, short and second.
Nice. Turn the double player in your second. You make the pivot.
Oh yeah.
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 That's pretty good. First.
Oh yeah, first base, and I do some catching whenever France goes out on the mound to close.
First base is a pretty neat position to play, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different from any other. You're always in on action.
Yeah.
And,
you're getting everything all the time.
And a lot of people think it's got to be your slower guy, your bigger guy.
No, it's got to be.
But no, you got to be athletic over there.
You got to be very
mobile.
athletic. You got to be athletic so you can save Tony's little throws in the dirt, right?
Oh, he saved quite a few of mine over the years. So I'll give him some credit.
Tony was on a nice streak. I think sophomore year. It was once a game. I was probably jump tagging or picking a ball for him.
Definitely.
It was fun though.
Chad, coach said this year's team feels like you guys are really bonded well. You like each other. You pull for each other. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. We've like more grown up together pretty much, playing a lot together, and it's just a good group of people. Everybody likes each other, personality-wise. Everybody's funny. Like doing stuff together, I guess, just works out pretty well.
What about the young guys? Now, you guys showing them the ropes? Like maybe somebody showed you guys the ropes when you were young? You guys take the young kid aside, maybe a sophomore, and talk to him and try to help him out?
Yeah, we definitely try to, like, if we see something going on, try to help them out whenever we can, and everybody holds their own, I'd say, but if we see something or something good, something bad, we'll let them know.
Yeah, but we definitely have some talented sophomores. I mean, they don't need a lot of instruction at this point because they played just as much good ball as us too. And we only have, I think, 3 sophomores at varsity practices, and because, like we said, we have 9 seniors and 4 juniors. There's not a lot of room on.
So you have a lot of talent on your team. A lot of talent.
Definitely.
That's good for a coach. He can mix and match. You know, you see it in the pros. Let me ask you this, maybe not here in Meadville, but you guys have like 13 different handshakes then? Guys doing all coming in the dugout, or just pretty much, when I played, everybody just gave a high five. Now, like, you got to learn 15 different handshakes.
Yeah, we're pretty just the classic high five.
Yeah.
that does it for us.
That's probably easier that way.
Yeah.
Chad, besides pitching, you must like to hit.
Do I like to hit?
Yeah.
BP.
BP, you don't get to hit much during the game?
Nah, just like in BP, I like to go up and swing as hard as I can, and then let these guys take care of in-game hitting.
So, when you strike out batters, is that the ultimate for you? Or do you like to get people put the ball in place? You're not using a lot of pitches. What are you looking for?
Strikeouts are always, they obviously feel good, but like being more efficient, like getting outs for my defense is always good too.
Keep the pitch count down.
Yeah.
So you can go longer.
Yeah.
Nice. Tony, Andrew, and Chad, you guys are up. What are we doing this year? Meadville baseball, win the region, win the districts. What's your goals, and what do you think?
Oh, we're definitely hoping to go as far as we can. Obviously, win the regions, kind of the first step to that, and then eventually, once we get there, we'll work our way up. Hopefully, we can win districts and maybe even make a run after that.
Best Meadville team you've been on so far, Andrew?
Yeah, I think definitely most talented and definitely the deepest we've had. There's always someone biting at your heels for your spot. No one's safe in that kind of sense, but we're all in here working every day, and we're playing game to game, and I love the way we can change lineups and not have to worry about defense or hitting holes in the lineup.
And Chad, I'll put you on the spot. The other guys can chirp into you. Coaches are just off a little bit, but what's it like playing for these 2 guys?
It's great.
Smart, you want to stay in the lineup.
Well, like they said, they've been coaching us for a while, and it's always nice like to have 2 coaches you can talk to. I mean, on a baseball level and on a personal level, so if you can relate to them real well and then take it serious in the field too, it helps.
It's middle of April as we tape this, and you got maybe a month and a few weeks left of school in your career here at Meadville. and baseball career is going to end shortly too. When you look back, when you walked into the middle school, when you're a little 7th grader, you know, it goes fast, doesn't it? When you look back how fast it goes, and that's why enjoy every minute of it. And when you guys graduate and wherever you're going to go to school, enjoy every minute of that too, because your coaches can attest. Life goes fast. You know, I mean, it's like this, but when you're young, people go, yeah, okay, whatever, you know. You can't wait to drive, you can't wait for this, but it goes fast, but enjoy every minute. I want to thank you three for coming on. You guys are excellent representatives of Meadville High School. Let's get that region championship. Let's get the D10 championship, because it's been a while. You know, so, and I tell you what, too, is you guys win a championship is something you take the rest of your life with you, you know, and you have your own family, and you can tell your own kids someday, you know, I was on a Meadville team that won a championship, and you can tell your grandkids, I was on a Meadville team that won a championship. You know, there's a lot of pride in this community of Meadville. I know all the communities have pride too, but it's time for the Bulldogs to be back on top with baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So have a great season, guys, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.